You are listening to Portals Podcast, an extension of the Emergence Creative Space. Listeners are transported into the hearts and minds of some of the most inspired creators, producers, artists, and activists around. Portals is a platform and a spotlight on the people, organizations, businesses, and more who are the unsung heroes making a huge impact on the lives of others. My name is Scott Love, and I'll be your host on this epic journey into the powerful world of the fascinating and inspirational. I am an activist, an entrepreneur, and a visionary. Over the years, I've made some incredible relationships with a lot of epic people, many of which have helped me and guided me on my journey. I believe they'll help you as well. Here's what's up. We are a people in transition. The choices we make now will affect the lives of others for generations to come. Our choices will be our legacy. I want Portals Podcast to be a go-to resource for those who are searching for solutions and to help move us all forward. Thanks for being here. All right, let's get inspired. Hi, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Portals Podcast. My name is Scott Love, and I'm your host on this epic journey through the fascinating and inspirational. Today, we have a special guest with us coming in from Asheville, North Carolina, Mr. Misha Eli. I think we met at, was it Earth Dance for the very first time way back in the day? Maybe a decade ago?
Geez, Scott, as I think about it, I think we met at Gratifly. I think we first met around, like over a decade ago, back in 2015-ish is when we did Gratifly. And I think that's when we might have first met.
That was very cool. And then
Mm-hmm.
I saw you. I know I definitely saw you at Earth Dance, at because you were building the maze. You were building the maze there.
Right. The Labyrinth of the Unbroken Path.
That's it. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
That was really. Man, you're always doing cool stuff like that.
Thank you.
What was your inspiration behind that particular art installation?
The Labyrinth has been an ever-evolving mobile art gallery, uh, sacred space, and an art installation inviting inclusion from people of all life. The inspiration for it was really to take the messages from some of history's greatest thinkers throughout time, to use those messages as seeds to plant into the installation, then giving people an opportunity to walk through the labyrinth to receive their messages of inspiration, then to have the opportunity to add their messages of inspiration for others using a variety of different art supplies that we had. So
That's
it's a
awesome.
really cool project, really cool. And like I said, it's ever evolving. So if there are organizations that are interested in bringing the labyrinth out, that can be arranged.
Well, I'm going to recommend it because it's very, very awesome, very thoughtful.
Thank
It's
you.
like you step in there and you can't help but be mindful of just cool things. Very good. All right, so you're in Asheville now, and it's been about 2 months since Hurricane Helene tore through the area. What a absolutely devastating experience that was for everyone. It still is, I imagine. What has your experience over the last couple of months been like?
The easiest way I could put it is resilient. Um, to really explain that, I think my experience has been every day getting up, figuring out what resources are available, doing things like searching for water that's drinkable or finding drives where there are items that are being distributed. And yeah, kind of rolling with the punches and going with the wind, I think would be the axiom to it.
How are things different now than they were before? Like for you personally, I'm sure the lack of work is rather challenging.
Yeah, it's a difference. It's at this point, the idea of working has a big question attached to it of why. Because with all of the resources that have now been depleted, such as the tourism industry, such as in the food and beverage and special events industry, which I've worked in for many years, there's not a lot of activity here in the area anymore. The weddings are called off. Those special events that are usually celebrated in this beautiful fall season up here in Appalachia, they've been indefinitely postponed. And many of those businesses around town, they've closed their doors indefinitely. So
Yeah, and those that
it's a
haven't have
different scene
suffered.
out here. It's a different autumn in Asheville than ever before.
In what ways? Let's touch back. Let's double back on that real quick. Um, how are things different as far as the community goes?
Sure, the community, from what I've seen, has really come together in the wake of Hurricane Helene to be able to establish mutual aid, interlinking networks with one another, whether they be local or state or federal or off the books organizations. Everybody coming together. It's been a really beautiful thing how that's happened over the past month or so.
Mm-hmm.
In comparison, I think that previous to that, we've had people that have been much in isolation over the past 4 years, and it's been tougher ever since the time of the pandemic in 2020, really to bring people together to play in the same sandbox. So this experience has been indicative of people being able and willing to play in that sandbox with each other and to assist each other however they can, however they really can. So it's a really beautiful thing.
So, what have you been up to since the hurricane came through?
Well, prior to the hurricane, I was involved in the planning and the production of an event called the Surreal Circus. And that's been
Okay.
happening about 14 years here in the Asheville community. It's kind of like a staple in the arts scene. So with the changes that Helene brought, we were no longer able to go and do the Surreal Circus as planned, having a big free public event in multiple parks in the center of downtown. That shifted. All permits were pulled for special events by the city, and we had the decision to make of what we wanted to do next. So after the hurricane came through, we said, yes, we're going through with it. And yeah, I had spent a lot of time in the focus of what we were going to do to have a phenomenal event. And we did. It took place on October 26th.
Cool. What was that all about? How was that? What was that like?
Yeah, it was a two-phase event. We did a progression from meeting up first over downtown in Vance Park and doing a altar building, ritual theatrical experience, an open mic. We had an open mic. We had featured presenters and a showcase. I had built a stage with my friends out of the Magic Love Bus. And so it was really cool to be able to have that height and to be able to have that staging where the artists and the speakers could be in front of the entire community. It was a beautiful vantage point. Later
So,
on, we progressed the event into phase two. We went over to the lovely Sly Grog, which is a notable venue here in downtown Asheville area, and we continued that event going until 2 a.m. and then had another after event over at Cafe Cana,
After
hosted by the
party.
Mary Ferry. Yeah, all the way until 6:30. So the next morning. Um, so it built momentum as the event was taking place. It was more of a artist gathering and a reset button is the way that I heard it described for the community. And rather than playing towards many of the tourists and much of the industry and the money market economy, the entire idea was a benefit event for victims of the flooding and victims of Helene to be able to get some funds and support into the hands of those artists that have lost their studios, and a lot of things have changed in the ways of life of artists. So yeah,
Yeah,
it was very
it sounds
successful in
amazing.
that, in bring people together, diverse communities together through the arts.
It's like, yeah, I can imagine. Like, there's all that pressure. I mean, the storm happens, and then people are displaced. They finally get their bearings. They start building up, and then there's this opportunity. It's so good that the community gets to come together. It's like a pressure release valve. That's awesome. So, what do you think the lasting impacts of all this is going to be on the Asheville community?
Well, as I see it, there is no going back. The idea of return back to normal or a recovery, I think it's an illusion. I believe that this community needs to trust one another in order to be able to assist one another, to be able to thrive, not just survive, yet to thrive. And in order to do that, we need to implement a new way of doing our exchanges, of the way that we step out and volunteer in the community, where we feel our safety and our security, and where we're ready for spontaneous exploration because of callings that we have to go and be of service and to be in social action. So I see on a day like today, I see a lot of unknowns, and I see a low grade irritability as well as a hesitation to act. One thing that I've noticed over the past couple of weeks when I'm around town is that I hear a sound that I didn't hear for the past 6 years of being in Asheville, except few and far between, and that's the sound of a honking horn on a vehicle. And to be around town and to hear people honking at each other and to hear people yelling at each other out their vehicle windows, it's kind of weird, and not in the weird way that has put Asheville on the map as
Right.
the weird spot.
People are getting
It's
stressed. People are
people are
anxious.
stressed. There's a low grade type of a frustration, a lot of irritability in the air, a lot of unknowns. And one of the blessings related to that is that powers that be that have traditionally made like a hard press towards collections, or employers that have made a hard press in the past for their employees to show up to work. At this point, it's like, look, like, you know, do what it is that you can do. Let us know if you're getting any assistance, how we can help you, and we're gonna figure something out. So there's a lot of that, like between the business owners, between landlords, between tenants, city officials, the newly elected officials, to the city, state, and federal levels. It's like, what are we going to do next, and what can we do to be able to go and raise awareness and to bring support into this community.
So yeah, this has an opportunity for change. Sounds like there's an opportunity for, not necessarily, change is good sometimes. Where's your optimism lie in the future around there? What is something that you're excited about?
Yes, Scott, I am excited about so many conscious earth stewards uh, coming to the table. I'm excited about people from various different walks of life coming together and finding solutions, working together, helping each other. There's been this new term that I've heard in recent days called hillbillies. And these hillbillies, the Asheville community has a unique way about it where you've got very bohemian, progressive, liberal, artsy types living right next to some very conservative and traditional American values types. And in this situation with the hurricane coming through, it's been a beautiful collage. And these subcultures, these microcultures coming together for an aligned endeavor. That's really, really cool. That some of those prejudices have been washed away by the hurricane, and it's given an opportunity for people to find a new value set and to raise the bar, and it's really, really lovely.
Yeah, it's a testament to really the only way to get through whatever challenges the future may hold is connection. Human connection. It's crazy how when there's a disaster, and it just seems like immediately after the storm, when people needed it the most, all those biases and judgments about each other just dissolved, and it was just people helping people. And then I was kind of curious as to, okay, well, how long until those biases and judgments flip back on? Because it's those biases and judgments are mental. They're not real. I mean, nobody can tell you that any of that stuff is real. Bias, I believe, is a mental thing. So that's very cool. That kind of inspires me. Uh, if we could just find a way to have those biases shit canned all together. All right. So let's bring it up to today. What is your highest excitement about what's going on in Asheville?
I think the highest excitement right now is that eyes are on us. That eyes are on us. Although that things have dissipated with the election coming through, that this is kind of like an old news in an international spectrum. I can see that entities from around the world are still interested in what we have going on here, in providing relief support, as well as wanting to come in and use this community to be able to be a lighthouse and to be, like you had said earlier, a testament to what a community can do together in the wake of a disaster such as this. I just recently watched a film, and I've been in communication with friends in Puerto Rico. And in the documentary that I watched, they were covering some of the issues that had taken place as a result of Hurricane Maria. Hurricane Maria was about 10 years ago, and they still over there have noticeable physical affect as a result of the hurricane. The way that the community has come together in a mutual aid network is incredible. And that level of a mutual aid network has sustained, even though they don't have the buildings intact, even though they don't have roofs in single family homes or using tarps instead of roofs, even though they don't have electricity, the power outlets going to each different building, that they're running cabling from one building to another for as much as they can get the electrical strength. It's so beautiful when communities come together because they have that aligned group endeavor. It's that critical mass, and the story is being told, the documentaries are being made, and I think that's really beautiful that here in this Asheville community, it seems to be a light press rather than the hard press. So the idea of people coming together and gathering in solution-based quorums seems to be more prevalent than people like dressing up in their costumery and uniforms and going right back to the jobs and the money market economy that they were used to before the storm kicked in. Now it's a big, like I said, why? Why do we go back to work? For what? What benefit does that have in sustaining us as a community?
Yeah, man. It's I mean, only time will tell if people are going to, because they just lost everything, be more steadfast in mine, mine, mine. Because they lost everything, you want to hold on to what's yours. Um, or if of course, we have this idea of a perfect world where where energy is constantly flowing. Um, that's a curiosity I have. One of the things that I loved about Asheville before was that there was a balance. It's like, yeah, we took care of ourselves, but anything extra could go out, and there was like this economy of I think we talked before about things like tool libraries or time banking.
Time banking.
Yeah, like all these really cool ideas that we see popping up in really cool hip cities. But how do we transfer that out to, like, who's really? I'm curious as to how many people that are listening to this have heard of the idea of time banking. What is your interpretation of time banking?
Basically, back in the late 80s, early 90s, a gentleman by the name of Edgar Kahn, he came up with this system of time banking where all of the hours that we have in any given day are equitable from provider to provider. And as a flesh and blood individual, I have the choice of taking the 24 hours in a day and voluntarily providing a set of skills or talents, services towards others. So time banking essentially is a way, instead of having commodification based on money market economy or credits that one accumulates into some sort of a bank account, the playing field gets leveled through time banking. A butcher, a baker, a candlestick maker, a doctor are all of service. They all are of equal value. And this is indicative in situations like this where even a doctor needs their house reconstructed after possibly a tree has fell through the roof. So to provide services for one another in an equitable sort of a way, it develops a trust network, and where our exchanges and the way that we do commerce altogether is based first on trusting and on the value of love. And then after that, to find a means of feeling compensated for that our time was not taken for granted. And that, I think, is a general value that people hold, is that they don't want to feel like their time is taken for granted. And time banking can go and illustrate that safety net for people. And it's a beautiful way of building communities. It's been done all around the world. There are two main systems in place for time banking, two main portals. There's timebanks.org, and then there's also ourworld.org. And there are hubs for these two different portals all around the world, and interexchanges. So like the Asheville Time Bank, which is ashevilletimebank.org, has been existent for several years. There are just under 300 members. And the members of the Asheville Time Bank have the ability to do interexchanges with each other. In fact, in a few days, I have it set up to go and get a ride over to the airport on time dollars rather than on Uber or Lyft or a taxi or what have you, which is cash dollars.
Right.
So people have the ability to be able to do interexchanges with each other within a hub of time banking, or they have the opportunity of seeking out offers or providing to requests in hubs around the world, because there are affiliate time banks through the overarching umbrella internationally, which is really cool.
Yeah, it's one of those things that even if it's just a handful of people, if I have a free Thursday and I look on this time banking list and I see that somebody needs, like an elderly couple, maybe needs their lawn mowed, or a single mother with several children needs her sidewalk shoveled. First of all, it's doing something good to help other people. And there's something to be said about altruism, but at the same time, there's something to be said about exchange and feeling validated and feeling rewarded. Yeah, there's that warm, fuzzy glow that comes from altruistic volunteer. There's room for both. Very good. Very good, very good. All right, so we're going to talk a little bit about this thing you have coming up on December 21st. What do you feel like sharing with people about that?
Yeah, on December 21st is winter solstice, the longest night of the year. Um, Here we have a winter solstice event that is going to be taking place in, again, two different venues. We're working that out, the details of it, here in Asheville, and we're connecting this. It's called Cosmic Solstice. We're connecting this Cosmic Solstice event with a live stream opportunity. And the idea is collectivizing our efforts amongst different event producers on that day internationally. So we have an open call for those event producers at this point to join us in a collaborative live stream partnership to take place on the 21st throughout the day. And with that partnership, we can raise awareness of the situation that we have here in Asheville. And we can also go and begin to align, again, our group endeavors for collective development, to showcase and to partner with others that have similar value sets and are doing similar work in building communities and bringing diverse communities together through the arts, bridging intergenerational and intercultural gaps that have existed for many years. So we're making an active effort to continue to hold that torch. And as I said, to bring opportunity for others to participate with us that are producing their own versions of events on that day all around the world.
Yeah, I'm hoping that Emergence Creative Space will find a way to work in there in Portal's podcast. All right, Misha, man, you have so much going on. What is the next couple months looking like for you?
Over the next couple of months, we're getting into the winter season here in the mountains. So that's prevalent. It's like the temperature is dropping day by day, night by night. And there's a lot related to that because we get into a hibernation mode up here and things kind of quiet down traditionally. So what's going to happen this year when many businesses are still closed, when roadways aren't as accessible because they have snow to them and things like that? So a lot still in question. I'm staying proactive. I'm doing several trips to do some research projects out of state over the next couple of weeks. Reconnecting with some of my friends, reconnecting with elders that I think in being in like a rat race and going here and there and in festival world and production and all of that, I've put a lot of that by the wayside. So I'm excited to connect with people that have wisdom that I consider my friends, and they've been my friends for years, yet I think I've been kind of ignoring them. So to take responsibility and to reconnect with those friends, that's a big thing for me, and to listen to the insights that they have as to what we can do to make the type of a world that we want to live in. Other than that, I have several different productions and campaigns that I'm working on. We have the Rise and Rebuild event over at Fallout Art Space. We have the Rhythm Roots project that I'm working with the ever so wonderful JWoww and friends from Planet JWoww. And then getting into December, we have the Cosmic Solstice event over at One World West, and live streaming globally. And moving into December, you said a couple of months. So moving into December, I'm working with the people that brought you Operation We Are Love, as well as the fantastic events, to put together something for the New Year's celebration. We traditionally have done our New Year's celebrations over in Marshall at the wonderful Marshall High School Studios. And based on circumstances, Marshall High School Studios is a bit washed up.
Oh, no.
Yes. So there is an active effort to do some cleanup over there in Marshall in appreciation for the space. And there are, restoration efforts that have been activated. Yet at this point, we're in the planning phase for what to do with that New Year's event and focalizing it rather than out in Marshall, outside of the Asheville city district. We're looking at what to do with a multi-venue event here right in the downtown space. So I'm working with the producer of that to activate a New Year's event and to bring in 2025 with style and class.
Style in class. Very good. How does someone get in touch with you if they wanted to help participate in some of the things you're working on?
Sure. They can find me on Facebook, number one, Misha Eli on Facebook. If you'd like to go on Instagram, I do have a page with at Earth Dance Asheville that's on Instagram. And if anybody's interested in emailing me, they can find me at spiralenterprises@gmail.com.
Very good. Cool. Misha, thank you so much, man. I appreciate you taking the time to share what's going on there on the streets of Asheville, those mean streets of Asheville, where the good die young and the evil empire is sinking its claws deeper and deeper into the economic throat of the average Asheville citizen. We're back now with Misha Eli. After the initial recording of this podcast, he reached back out to me with some pretty exciting news about a new project that he's taking on. So we decided to add this to the end of the video. Misha, what you got?
Yes, Scott, thank you. I took a trip down to Florida and had some meetings about what we were talking about with economy and solutions to find here for like the Asheville area and globally. And in working with an organization called the Trade Exchange, it's a barter organization that's been around for about 25 years now. We're finding a solution to be able to fill a need of exchanging in an easy and user-friendly sort of a way to facilitate those exchanges amongst artists, amongst businesses, citizens, and community organizations. So that's really exciting, both in a digital framework and in like a user-friendly way, just with the ease of use of having a card that one can go and exchange goods and services with each other. And what's really exciting about that is that the need for that has been so well presented in these past couple months in Asheville. All of those things have really come in prevalence in everyday life in this community in such a beautiful way. And this just gives a means to be able to extend that and to make it into a sustainable form that can be used each and every day, year round. So that's really, really cool.
That is really exciting. What role are you taking on?
I've been asked by the founder of the Trade Exchange to facilitate that integration amongst the different parties, the world of trade banking and NFT currencies and tangible US dollar currencies with the time banking community, where neighbors are helping neighbors, and it's much more on like a grassroots type of a level to facilitate those inter exchanges. So the administrative tasks,
the coordinating tasks, the outreach, the education, all of those different calls to action. I'm kind of freelancing it now to, pull everything together. I didn't see it coming, and I know that earlier in our previous interview, we had said that, there is a means to be able to go and make these things happen, and it's like this means has seemed to kind of present itself over the past couple weeks.
That's what's up. That's what's up. That's very cool. So what's the next step for you to make this happen?
Well, next step to make it happen is to build the outreach and awareness campaign with the time banking members to let them know that there's another means to be able to go and do their exchanges aside from through the software that they're familiar with, and then connecting with the business owners within the trade exchange community and letting them know that they have an additional option for facilitating their exchanges in the world of time banking altogether, and then educating and communicating and building the databases, like I said, administrative and functional coordinating, and what's the old adage to like shake hands and kiss babies.
Right on. Very cool. Very cool. Well, you need support with that?
Yeah, support in that can be given in a number of ways. I really like to let it be known that we're kind of making a hybrid culture and we're bridging gaps. And in doing so, it's not just jump from using no money at all to jumping into a time-based or a trade-based economy. So to be able to go and give some ease of the shift, there are means that people can support me through their contributions in building this. And there are also means that people can support me through what we've been speaking to, which is through the established currency of time banking. Somebody can go and contribute hours or even minutes of their time to somebody directly or to an entire community or to a movement within time banking through a portal like Our World. So if they go over to either the Asheville Time Bank entry point or to Our World in general and they become a member, then they can contribute in that sort of a way. They can make a testament that they vow to contribute, and that serves as a form of credit, and it builds in their social capital account.
Very good. So it sounds like you're challenging people to create a time bank account with Our World, which I support 100%.
Yeah, and to stay tuned because there's going to be more as we're figuring out the means to build these software programs and integrations, these plugins and widgets and whatnot. Stay tuned because there is going to be much activity going into 2025.
So how would people reach out to you if they wanted to contribute?
They can reach out by going to ourworld.org or to the AshevilleTimeBank.org website directly. They can go also to my Venmo account with Spiral Enterprises if they want to contribute financially. I have a PayPal account with Urban Spiral Dream Company at gmail.com. And they can contribute by giving me feedback, suggestions, anything via email. Email me at spiralenterprises@gmail.com. I'd be happy to field any interests or any ideas for collaboration.
Very good. Well, thank you so much, Misha. I'm really glad that you got back in touch with me before I published this because I think that's some pretty vital, there's some pretty cool information to be sharing with people.
Thank you.
Well, once again, thank you for plugging in and taking your time. I know you're really super busy.
Thank you, Scott. I appreciate your time and this entire interview process. I really hope that people are able to go and learn of ways that they can integrate and find a place in the rebuilding, the resilience, and the reciprocity within community in a localized and in a globalized sense.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, until next time, thank you for listening to Portals Podcast. Once again, my name is Scott Love, and I've been your host on this epic journey into the fascinating and inspirational. Misha, you inspire me, brother.
Thanks, Scott.